next on All Access.
Welcome to this encounter of the 2-1 New England Patriots and the 3-0 Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions. Stidham hands it off to Damien Harris, runs it to the right side, gallops across the 45-50, a foot race, outrunning Chiefs to the 35-30, right sideline 25.
It felt good, just being out there and helping this team be successful. That's my number one goal.
I talk about Zach Ertz, tight end for Philly.
I never anticipated that I would be in the media.
There's Joe Thomas getting the movement. Retirement came along, and then I started to figure things out because I didn't know what I wanted to do, really.
Of course, you got to have a plan B and C for that matter.
What's different about the Broncos?
Well, Vic's an excellent defensive coach. He's one of the best defensive coaches in the league.
The Patriots kicked off one of the most challenging weeks with a gritty effort, but ultimately resulted in their second loss of the season. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Patriots All Access, presented by GEICO. I'm Steve Burton. Rare are the days when you see an NFL team travel on the day of the game, play the game, and then travel back home. That's exactly what the Patriots faced on Monday. Where did they go from here? With more positive COVID-19 tests, it has been an eventful week here in Foxborough. As of now, the Patriots game has been moved to Monday night. So we'll preview Denver in this show, but we begin with a look back at the sights and sounds from Monday night's loss in Kansas City.
Welcome to this encounter of the 2-1 New England Patriots and the 3-0 Kansas City Chiefs, the defending Super Bowl champions.
Make plays, just turn up. Each and every time. LB's on 3. 1, 2, 3. LB!
With a shotgun snap, Mahomes is going to lob a throw to the back of the end zone. Incomplete for Sammy Watkins. Running toward the far left pylon with Stephon Gilmore in coverage.
That's it!
Mahomes steps up off the shotgun snap, scrambles left, chased by Coward, and then shoved out of bounds by Bentley, right at the line of scrimmage.
Hey, keep putting the pressure on him! Hey, keep putting the pressure on him!
Winchester snaps it to Townsend with the placement, the kick curling toward the left upright, and it's going to stay inside the goalpost. One to the right, Mahomes throws it to the left. It's caught by Watkins with the stutter step. Then he drops the ball. It's out and loose. J.C. Jackson diving in for the Patriots. Patriots get a gift. They come away with it.
Big time play right there, popping that out.
Shotgun snap to Hoyer, drops back, blitz picked up, a throw down the middle, off the hands of Edelman, and deflected to Olszewski. Pops to his feet and runs it past midfield, and Gunnar Olszewski. Hoyer drops it, hands it off to Burkhead, runs straight ahead and cuts it right with a first down and more to the 30. Burkhead to the 25, spun around and eventually tackled by Matthew. The snap and the placement, swing of the right leg, kick lifted to the uprights, right down the middle, and the Patriots are on the board. On third down, from the 42, snap to Mahomes. A three-man rush. He drops back in the pocket. He's hit by Winovich. He'll be taken down. The ball is loose. It's caught by Calhoun. Calhoun has it for the Patriots. But Tony Corrente is going to rule Mahomes down. As Corrente blew the whistle. Shotgun snap to Hoyer in the pocket. He looks to the middle. Now he looks left. He's got to get away from Clark. And Hoyer is sacked back at the 27-yard line. And the Patriots, with no timeouts, come away empty-handed. The Chiefs with an extra rusher. Hoyer under pressure. He's hit from behind. The ball is loose, and the Chiefs have it.
Inexcusable.
Stidham hands it off to Damien Harris. Runs it to the right side. Gallops across the 45-50. A foot race. Outrunning Chiefs to the 35-30. Right sideline 25. Angled out of bounds by Thornhill.
There's a burst right there. Wow.
In the pocket. Lobs a throw. Left corner for Harry. Diving catch. Touchdown. Patriots.
There's his first one. What a throw by Stidham.
Let's keep it going. White stands in the pocket, throws it left flat through the hands of Edelman. It's intercepted down the right side, and Matthews going to walk in high-stepping for a touchdown. And the Chiefs, indeed, are now officially 4-0. The Patriots are 2-2.
From our sights and sounds to inside our Bob's Discount Furniture Studios with Mike Reiss and Paul Parillo. Good to see you guys. And we're talking about the situation the Patriots are in right now, and how do you think they handled all this?
Yeah, you know, it's obviously nothing that anybody's familiar with because it's never happened before. And you're dealing with a whole bunch of protocols, and obviously the Patriots had some problems with them over the weekend. But I do think, you know, their ability to sort of compartmentalize that, Mike, is always impressive. We've seen it time and time again over the years, but this one's real life, right? You're dealing with a real life virus that is affecting everyone around us, and for them to get on that plane the day of the game and put forth the effort that they did, especially defensively, was commendable.
I look at it in two different ways. How are they handling it? I'd say behind the scenes, what we can't see.
Right.
There's a blind spot for us. I mean, are they keeping the masks on? Are they keeping the distance? Are those beepers that they're wearing, are they going off too many times? Like that part, we just have to take the word that they're doing their best, right? I think what Paul highlights is what we saw.
Yeah.
Like that was an excellent effort by them to travel the day of the game. Right. Take 2 planes. How about the commitment to do that? I mean, that's telling you they're trying to do the right thing after the diagnosis.
Well, the first 3 weeks of the NFL, everything started out so smooth, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, it's hit. And now, is this going to be the new norm going forward? Is that what we have to worry about here?
Yeah, I unfortunately think it is. And if you think back to sort of the end of the spring and the start of the summer, this is kind of the way, you know, Dr. Fauci had sort of explained that it was going to be. Come the fall, they were expecting a little bit of a bounce back. And I think you're starting to see the starts of that. And that's why I do think you look around, you know, Tennessee's problems are pretty well documented. But, you know, there was one in Kansas City the other night, too, that hasn't gotten nearly the amount of attention because it was a practice squad player. Now there's one with the Las Vegas Raiders. And there are individual guys starting to pop up. I think there's going to be more of that before we see any sort of flattening again.
I think, as he often does, Matthew Slater probably said it best after the game when he said, we're going to pray, you know, for no more positive tests, but we understand the reality that they're living in, and this is what they're living in.
How do you think their psyche is right now?
Yeah, I do think they were a little bit thrown. And, you know, I know we heard some, you know, anonymous quotes from various players. Mike, I'm sure you talked to many. Some of those veterans that have families, that have children at home, I'm sure they were a little bit thrown by it. But, you know, I also think that, you know, maybe, you know, you start to see the reality hit home inside your locker room. And we saw during the course of the week, Cam Newton is out, you know, tweeting with a mask on, you know, explaining the vigilance. So maybe he, you know, maybe it takes someone in your locker room to be affected by it to really hit home.
And it's going to affect everyone differently, you know, depending on their situation. I think it's hitting some guys very hard. I mean, they can't see their kids. They're living in a different part of their house. You know, it has uprooted their lives to play football. And I think you wouldn't be human if you didn't say, like, is this really worth it? If you didn't just put your guard down at some point and ask yourself that question.
Excellent point. Guys, don't go far because we have a lot more to discuss later on in our show. We'll be back with more Patriots All Access right after this.
Coming up on All Access.
We'll chat with Patriots running back Damian Harris.
Every day I still went out there and worked as hard as I could, you know, rehab and all those kinds of things. That way when I did get my opportunity to step on the field, I just wanted to make the most of it.
You're watching Patriots All Access.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Bank of America, the official bank of the New England Patriots. By Gillette Pro Glide and Pro Glide Gel, 5 blades, and a pivoting flex ball designed to get virtually every hair on the first stroke. And by Putnam Investments. Putnam Investments and the New England Patriots, proud partners committed to an active game plan on the field and off.
I'm Megan O'Brien here with your Social Minute. While the outcome wasn't what the Patriots were looking for on Monday against Kansas City, there was a full circle moment early in the fourth quarter. Jarrett Stidham and Damien Harris, both second-year players, were on the field together at the same time for the first time in their professional careers. But that's not the first time that these two teammates have played together. That goes all the way back to the early Pop Warner days. Take a look at this picture in Richmond, Kentucky. The Patriots were running on little sleep when they got back to New England early Tuesday morning after Monday night's game. But that didn't stop Brandon Copeland from volunteering his time in the community. On Tuesday night, he put on a virtual event for grades 7 through 12 to talk about financial literacy. That will do it from All Things Social. We'll see you next time.
As we mentioned at the top of the show, it has been one of the most unusual weeks for the Patriots in franchise history. Dan Rhodes tries to get us up to speed on the real-life challenges the team faced this week.
In 2020, nothing is normal, and that's what the Patriots faced after their quarterback Cam Newton tested positive for COVID-19 last week. The game in Kansas City was postponed from Sunday to Monday night, and so the Patriots adjusted and flew in and out of Kansas City on the day of the game.
Throws it left flat through the hands of Edelman. It's intercepted down the right side. Matthews going to walk in high-stepping for a touchdown.
As you might expect, Bill Belichick's Patriots didn't make any excuses and simply came out and tried to do their job. And the Pats gave Patrick Mahomes and the high-powered Chiefs all they could handle. But in the end, too many mistakes did them in.
With everything going on, we were able to come out here and play the game, and we fought tough, but obviously it didn't go our way.
Monday was an emotional night for James White, who played in his first game since losing his dad in a car accident.
I miss getting those, that text that he would usually send me on Saturday nights, before games. Give me, sorry. No, just simple text he was sent.
Meanwhile, Stephon Gilmore, who played every snap against Patrick Mahomes and company Monday night, tested positive this week for COVID-19. As for the rest of this Patriots team, they must soldier on and get ready for the Denver Broncos.
It's different. We have to assume we're playing on Sunday, so just prepare as much as possible. Like I said, don't go out there and run on your own, do whatever you can, because like I said, it's going to be tough to not do anything at all. So just got to do whatever we can to get prepared.
As we've seen firsthand for the past 20 years, one of the strengths of a Bill Belichick team has been the ability for the team to block out any and all issues, distractions. 2020 may be as challenging as it gets for the Pats, but they'll simply keep on moving forward no matter what this season brings. For Patriots All Access, I'm Dan Roach.
All right, Roachy, thank you very much for joining me now as Patriot running back Damian Harris. Damian, good to see you, my friend.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys having me.
Hey, let me ask you this right out of the gate. You come in with a lot of talent. You've been patient. How disappointing was it for you when you got hurt?
It was pretty disappointing, just because I felt like, I'd worked so hard this offseason and then training camp. And, I felt like I was finally starting to find a rhythm, and I felt like I was finally starting to, kind of get my career started. And then that happened. And, it was unfortunate, but the best thing for me to do was just look at it as another opportunity to make myself better.
How hungry were you for you to get back?
Extremely. It felt like a long time coming. I felt like I hadn't really played football in a long time. Practice is one thing, but actually being out there when it matters it's a whole different ball game. So just being out there and being able to go out there and compete, it was a lot of fun. And like I said, I've been waiting for that moment for a long time.
How good did it feel for you to contribute coming right out of the gate after waiting for over a year?
It felt good just being out there and helping this team be successful. That's my number one goal. Every day I wake up and I go to work with the mentality of how can I make this team better? What can I do to help this team be a better team? And so that was really important. And being able to go out there and try to do that and, give us an opportunity to be successful, it was important. And, I went out there and I gave it my best shot.
On your 40-yard run in KC, you took the handoff from Jarrett Stidham. You have played with Stidham before. Tell us about that. We're going back in time now.
So Stid was actually the first quarterback that I ever had. I took my very first handoff from Jarrett Stidham. So it's a pretty cool story. Playing together, we're 8 years old. And, the story just goes on and on. We played together in high school, an Under Armour All-American game. Then we played against each other, Auburn versus Alabama. I mean, the biggest rivalry in college football. And then we both got drafted by the Patriots. So to be in a big-time game like that in the heat of the moment, there was a point in time where we just kind of looked at each other and it was just like old times. So, even in the heat of the moment, one of the biggest games of the year, we just kind of had a little moment of reflection on just how far we've come and, being in the situation together. So it was a really special moment for the both of us.
Damien, how are you dealing with all the issues swirling around you right now and swirling around this football team?
Just controlling what I can control. It's something that's preached in our building day in and day out. Control what you can control and just put your best foot forward every day.
Damian Harris, good luck to you against Denver.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
You got it. Damian Harris, I guess. We'll be back with more Patriots All Access right after this. Welcome back to Patriots All Access. Time to sit down, talk with the coach now, and Coach Belichick joins me. Coach, before we get to last Monday's game, you've been in football a long time. Logistically, was that one of the biggest challenges you've ever had, whether being a player, coach, going back to all your days around football?
I don't think we've traveled on the day of the game since I was in college. So it was a little bit different, but we've all done that before, and overall, I thought it was, very, very smooth operation, as smooth as it could have been.
Based on that game, just some missed opportunities there for you guys when you digest the tape and you get ready to flip the script this week?
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. We, defensively, we, let them off the hook a couple times. Offensively, we turned the ball over 5 times and just, couldn't put enough points on the board. Just didn't do enough things well enough consistently, and they're obviously a good football team, and make mistakes against them, they're gonna make you pay for them.
It's an interesting league when you look at the schedules, and it just seemed like going back, you played Denver every year, sort of that common opponent, and it's kind of shifted now. I haven't played them in 3 years. What do you see in Vic Fangio's football team when you look at them? What's different about the Broncos?
Well, Vic's an excellent defensive coach, and I think defensively he does an excellent job of causing problems for the offense. He's got some disruptive players. Chubb, Simmons certainly be at the top of the list. But his mixture of schemes between zone and some man and some pressure and playing good situational football, and they're a good fundamental team. They tackle well and they play with good leverage and good pad level and so forth. So those are things that they do well, and they've always done well for Vic. He's one of the best defensive coaches in the league.
Okay, time now for the Twitter question of the week, and it comes from @BozNow18. You had 2 rookies on that right side, holding that right side of that offensive line down for you guys. When you evaluate and you scout offensive linemen, how important is position versatility, the ability, to kick the center, to kick the guard? You got tackles playing guard. How important is that for a young player?
Well, I think it could help. You don't need all your players to be versatile, but you need some. So, if a player can play a position really well, then that's great. But somewhere along the line, if you take This year we're at 8 offensive linemen, but in the past we've usually been at 7 at the game. So for 7 linemen to, be able to back up, all the spots, that's really, you need 10 people there. So somebody's got to double up somewhere, whether that's moving a starter to a different position or a backup that can play more than one position. So that's it's an important part of putting your roster together, that somebody has to be flexible, but you don't need all of them to be. So snapping the ball is always an issue. So, you've got to have, 2 players that you're confident in that can snap the ball. Otherwise, that can destroy a game in a hurry. So.
Okay, for all you parents at home that have young linemen, get them snapping, more versatile.
There you go.
If you want to ask the coach a question, you have to follow the team on Twitter @Patriots, hashtag it #AskBB. You talked about all that talent. Speaking of the Belestrator, what are we going to take a look at with them later? Locke and company and the receivers that they have?
Yeah, you bet. Yep. So there's Denver skill players. They got a lot of them.
All right, everybody hang tight. We're going to have more Patriots All Access right after this, and then later in the show we have the Belestrator.
Coming up on All Access.
We'll revisit the Patriots' greatest regular season comeback in franchise history.
Tumbling with a touchdown.
But first, we go into the vault to spotlight some Patriots Hall of Famers' second career.
I never anticipated that I would be in the media.
You're watching Patriots All Access.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Pepsi. That's what I like. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the New England Patriots. By the Dan O'Brien Auto Group. Come in to any Dan O'Brien Auto Group store today and get your awesome protection plan, keeping it awesome. And by Bank of America, official bank of the New England Patriots.
The Patriots are well represented in the media, both locally and nationally, who cover the National Football League. In all, there are 15 former players and executives with Patriots ties who now get paid for their analysis and opinions, including Tedy Bruschi and Randy Moss, who co-host their popular NFL Sunday Countdown program.
As we just illustrated, the Patriots are very well represented in media circles covering the National Football League. We go into the vault from 2014 to spotlight 3 players, all Patriot Hall of Famers, and check in on their second careers.
Okay, hi, Rod. Might talk about Zach Ertz, tight end for Philly.
I never anticipated that I would be in the media.
Yeah, right there, because then I can highlight here. There's Batonio, there's Joe Thomas getting the movement. Retirement came along, and then I started to figure things out because I didn't know what I wanted to do, really.
Top of the B block, we'll start with the Patriots practicing in the rain today.
Nothing's changed. The odds of a football player having a long career is not great. I mean, I think our average is about 3.5 years. So, of course, you got to have a plan B and C for that matter.
After 13 years of football, 13 years of NFL football, 13 years of Patriot football, I'm retiring. I was lucky. I was so lucky because I retired and 3 days later they called me and they offered me a job. And I said, where is it? And they said, Bristol, Connecticut. And I said, how far of a drive is that? Do I have to move? And they said, no. And I said, okay, I'll give it a shot.
You have to deal with him on every down. So much more valuable to me than a corner on the outside where you can choose not to go against.
There's a Rodney Harrison strip right there, baby.
The quarterback is still standing.
Some studio space opened up and they said, hey, we would like for you to come in and work in conjunction with Tony Dungy and Dan Patrick and Keith Olbermann at that time. And I was like, wow, I was kind of taken back because there's so many guys out there trying to do this, and this was something that I wasn't necessarily pursuing, and the opportunity opened up, and I said, why not?
I don't think I ever was truly nervous. I think the problem that I had at first was hurrying, just being too fast, thinking I didn't have as much time as I did. The very first time was, all right, 5 seconds in the show, guys, when 5 seconds onto the jib. And I said, what's a jib? And they said, Teddy, just follow the red light.
We don't talk, we produce. We don't talk, we play.
Now I'm not afraid to express myself, but Bill Belichick was my leader back then. And what you did if you played there, I mean, to have a team, you all had to be on the same page. No matter what running back it is, no matter what offensive lineman it is, they're scoring points, they're moving the ball. As I look at them offensively, I just see a good team no matter who's in there. Bill taught me too well. He taught me to do my job, but I don't work for them anymore. You know what I mean? I don't work for the New England Patriots. I work for ESPN. Going up against Tony Romo as a player, you know eventually he's going to throw it to you, and all you got to do is catch it.
And it was tough. I mean, there's times that we wanted to lash out, but we understood that that was our motivation. You know, we loved it when teams lashed out and said things about us.
I don't see any creativity when it comes to this offense and the players that they have surrounding him.
Well, I think in the beginning it was a little difficult to criticize, especially friends.
Why are you throwing the ball so much when you have a struggling young quarterback? You need to run the ball.
What I like to do as an analyst and as a former player is if I criticize you or I tell you all the things you did wrong, then I'm going to offer a few things that you can do to improve.
Well, if I'm Phillip Rivers, I have to make Antonio Gates the #1 option, and you have to find a way to get Keenan Allen back involved in this offense.
Sometimes when you give your opinion, it may not be the most popular opinion, the most popular thing. It may not be something that a lot of players like, but it's my opinion. And one thing I try to do is I just try to be fair with everyone.
I mean, if you need 6 more games to determine if he's going to be a future quarterback, you need a new coach and a new scouting department.
That's just the way I am. And players get upset. You know, they forget about the 20 times that you patted them on the back and talked about how great they were.
I've seen enough. I don't think he fits in the system. I think you have to get rid of him.
But all of a sudden, you say 1 or 2 things on national television, they remember those 2 negative things or those 2 things that aren't so favorable. And they get upset and they get real sensitive.
Gino.
He has to have some type of clock in his head.
I would just think.
Oh, could I have
The D-line depth chart for the Rams. That's all.
And I'm going to say how the safeties are special, but the disguise is good, but this isn't a special defense. I'm not surprised that any of us ended up going this route because, to tell you the truth, it's this or coaching. That's the way, that's how upset specials feel. I think our personalities still come through pretty well through the lens or through the microphone.
You can't throw it up for grabs if you're Tom Brady. This game is too important.
Those guys, they played at a high level. They understood the game. It's easy for them to transition, on stage or behind, in front of the camera and talk about football. And you believe them because not only they talk about it, they went out and they did it on the field.
You see that?
It just makes me really proud to see those guys. Because you see the guys that are on TV are some of the guys that study the most. Bruschi, one of those guys, you can ask him anything and he knows it right off the top of his head. Same thing with Willie McGinest. So it's really no surprise that those guys have reached a level of broadcasting success that they've reached. Really proud of those guys. It's really fun to have played with those guys and really sit back post-career and see the success that they're having.
One of the coldest games on record at Gillette Stadium proved to be one of the all-time classics. The Patriots spotted Denver a 24-0 second quarter lead.
2-step, throws a fade for Thomas, left side of the end zone, makes the catch, touchdown Denver.
But the Patriots scored 31 unanswered points, fueled by 2 Julian Edelman touchdowns to help force overtime.
For Edelman, back corner of the end zone, tumbling with a touchdown.
Unconventionally, the Patriots won the toss and deferred. And a tricky win helped force a turnover.
The ball's going to bounce, hit a Bronco. The Patriots recover. The Patriots have it.
Leading to a game-winning field goal. It was the biggest come-from-behind regular season win in franchise history.
Let's check in with our opponent, the Denver Broncos, and who better than to learn about the Broncos than with the voice of the team, Dave Logan. Dave, thanks so much for the time.
My pleasure, Megan.
Now, the Broncos, they've been plagued with injuries, including one to their starting quarterback. What's impressed you most about the way that this team has stepped up to fill those voids?
They have continued to play inspired football. I've been on a couple of teams in the past and certainly covered teams that you could see they would get to a point and that they were so beaten down that they kind of just mailed it in. And I know it's early in the season, but that has not been the case for this Broncos team.
Do you have any update on the quarterback and his status?
Not really. We both know that the NFL is fairly secretive about stuff like that. My gut would tell me that he will not be ready to play, but that's me. That's not coming from the Broncos organization. My guess is they will be very cautious with Drew. It would surprise me if he plays against New England, but I guess we'll just wait and see.
What does a young Denver Broncos offense need to do to take advantage of this Patriots defense?
And so anytime I think you face a Bill Belichick team, you understand that you're going to get unscouted looks. You're going to get things that you have not prepared for. That's just the way it is when you face New England with Coach Belichick there. And I think a team's ability to adjust on the fly, a team's ability to change things up in a rapid period of time, that will be very beneficial. Denver's offense will have their work cut out for them on Sunday.
All right, Dave, thank you so much for the time, and we hope that there's a game for you to call on Sunday.
Yeah, I do too. Thanks, Megan.
Welcome back to Patriots All Access. Time now for the Belestrator. And Coach, a lot of talent on this Denver team, especially at the top of the draft last several years, stockpiling some talent offensively. What are we going to take a look at here?
Well, we go right down the line here. Quarterback lock, second-round pick last year. Gordon, high first-round pick in 15 with the Chargers. Lindsey's a free agent. He's a local kid from Colorado who's already been to the Pro Bowl. He's an excellent player that probably a lot of fans might not be very familiar with. Font was a first-round pick last year, tight end from Iowa, very fast, explosive player. And then this year they picked up Judy and Hamler, two fast and explosive players at wide receiver. They really have a lot of speed on the field and a lot of good young players here that all have a chance to develop together. So we'll take a look at this group. His first play is. This is Locke at quarterback, and Judy's in the slot. Judy generally plays inside, and Hamler plays outside, but, they can move around a little bit. You can just see Judy's quickness here. You probably saw it at Alabama, watching him in some of those college games. But he's has a lot of short area quickness. He has big-time speed, and he can separate and get open, reach out, catch the ball. And, now's when the fun starts, is just tackling. So, looks like the Titans here have him pretty well leveraged, and he's in of it, he's out of it, and it was an extra 15 yards there. So really an explosive player.
I wanted to ask you real quick about him. Was he an inside guy at Alabama with Ruggs on the outside, or did they move those guys around?
Yeah, they moved him around. He played both, and he does for the Broncos as well. He does play some outside. Especially in their two receiver sets when they're in 12 personnel.
Pretty good job by Nick recruiting these guys. All right, moving on here.
Yeah, so this is Font, the tight end, and again, first-round pick for him last year. This is another fast and explosive player. You can see on this play how quickly he gets into the secondary. Creates some separation there on the scissors route, and ball's right on the money, easy touchdown against the Steelers. And this is a good look at Gordon, number 25. Again, we've seen him from San Diego, but this is, with 2 minutes ago in the Jets game, and the Broncos have a lead, and they, are trying to control the clock here at the end of the game, and just watch Gordon bounce it out. This is Rippey, the quarterback, getting out ahead, kind of like Russell Wilson does for the Seahawks, and gets in the way of the corner here. But really a good run by Gordon, And you can see he's got the speed to go the distance. So, big, strong kid with, good feet, good ability to make people miss in space, and that home run speed. And he's a powerful guy, pick up a yard or two if he needs it. So it's a very, very talented group offensively in terms of their skill players.
All right, Coach. Great stuff. Good luck this week against the Broncos. Good to be home. And we'll chat again next week.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
All right, there's your Belestrator. More Patriots All Access. We'll be back right after this.
Patriots All Access is brought to you by Pepsi. That's what I like. Pepsi, the official soft drink of the New England Patriots. And by Putnam Investments. Putnam Investments and the New England Patriots. Proud partners committed to an active game plan on the field and off.
Welcome back to Patriots All Access, everyone, in our Bob's Discount Furniture Studios. Back with Mike Reiss and Paul Parillo. Good to see you guys again in the show. Coming off that Kansas City game, how impressed were you with this defense?
Yeah, I do think the game plan was one that we've seen Belichick have some success with. Mike, I'll tell you what it reminded me of a little bit, going way back, is the old Super Bowl with the Giants against Buffalo. Just sort of dropping back 6, 7, 8 guys sometimes in coverage, flooding zones, mixing zone and man, and then sort of relying on those guys up front to stop the run. It was really an outstanding performance overall.
They competed so hard, and they're so deep in the secondary. I think the numbers were that they played 6 defensive backs, 32 of their 56 snaps, and then they played more than 6, an additional 9 snaps. So they're really flooding the field with defensive backs. Some teams don't have that many defensive backs to do that, but the Patriots, Stephon Gilmore, which obviously he won't be there, but J.C. Jackson, Jason McCourty, Jonathan Jones, Devin McCourty, Adrian Phillips. Down the line you go. That's a deep, talented secondary.
Were you surprised at the quarterback play of the Patriots?
Yeah, a little bit, because I would have thought that Brian Hoyer is a guy that's been around for a while. He's got a lot of experience as a backup. He's started games in the league. And the reason why I think, Mike, that he's been in the league as long as he has is because he has a reputation for making smart decisions, getting the team in the right situation, getting out of bad plays, and, managing the clock and things like that. And that's what we saw break down a little bit. And, I don't want to beat up on a guy who hasn't played, a lot of games recently, but you can't take the 2 sacks, especially the one at the end of the half, and you can't put the ball in peril. And, just too many turnovers, too many mental errors.
I go back to something Bill Belichick said when they had drafted Jimmy Garoppolo in the 2nd round. And some people said, why would you take a quarterback that high when you already have Tom Brady? And I'll paraphrase what Coach Belichick said, was something along the lines of, if you don't have that position accounted for at all layers, you put your whole team at risk, because that quarterback has the ball in his hands so many times. And that was sort of the thought that I kept coming back to in this game, because they did some good things, but the mistakes were just so costly that it sort of overshadowed everything else.
So here's the next question. If Cam Newton cannot go, who plays quarterback?
This is a tough one. To me, I would go with Jarrett Stidham, and there's a couple of reasons. I just explained why I think Brian Hoyer was the guy that went. He's getting all the preparation, all the second team snaps. He's the backup, and you think he's safer. Well, I think Jarrett Stidham is more talented than Brian Hoyer. You wouldn't play him because you think that he's not quite ready. Well, if you're going to make mistakes either way, I'd rather have the more talented guy. However, I think they'll stick with Hoyer.
You do?
I do.
And I wouldn't be surprised, especially when you consider what the week has been like for them. No practice Wednesday and Thursday, all virtual. So that would tend to lead you more to the player who's played more and been in those situations. The counterpoint that I would make on that, and I'm trying to put myself in Bill Belichick's hoodie, is like, what message am I sending to the team? After that performance, which is like, we're at practice, Paul, in training camp. They're working on those situational things so much, often, that's why it was so unusual to see those type of mistakes.
Denver Broncos are next. Prediction time. What do you got?
Yeah, this is funny. Denver's a young team, and it's missing a ton of its talent. So I think this is a get-right game. I think all of the stuff they've gone through, I think the Patriots end up winning in this game. The defense forces a ton of turnovers, 33-13.
Wow, it's got them with 33 points.
Get right
love
game.
The optimism.
Get right
Turnovers
game.
are good. 24-13 Patriots go into the bye week. 3-2, still looking up at Buffalo, which is a little unusual for them, but a lot of football to be played, hopefully.
Yes. All right, guys. Great job as usual. Thank you very much. Well, that'll do it for this week's edition of Patriots All Access. For Mike Reiss and Paul Parillo, I'm Steve Burton. Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe.